Welcome back to another episode of Loving Gratitude. As you can see, I have a guest here, and it's actually my first female guest because usually I had male guests and it was always a virtual episode, but today we are here live together with my friend
Alena.
Yeah, I mean, you can introduce yourself if you want.
As I said before, my name's Alena. I'm 24 years old, and I study economics at the same university as she does.
Yeah, we're both studying at the University of Hohenheim here in the south of Germany. I'm studying sustainability and economy, and you're studying economy, economy. And so today we're going to talk about something special. I mean, it's always something special for me because I love my podcast, but we're going to talk about our experience in being the child of an immigrant family and studying and also working sometimes, because we're like trying to get everything with each other because it's also very time consuming, but like how we're managing our time and how we are like managing all those things together. Being an immigrant child, because, being the child of an immigrant family is actually a big burden, like it's very heavy. Sometimes you have to carry it on your back, on your shoulders, and it can be very exhausting for our mental health and for our life, and for us. And especially Alena, she is very experienced in that, and we're going to talk about the problems and what we like about it and what we don't like about it, but mostly about our experience, because we should always talk about our experience, and my mentor always says never talk about anything in which you don't have experience yet. So first question is, what's your immigrant background?
So my family is actually from Turkey.
Turkey. We say Turkey.
Sorry, right, so changed, yeah. So my grandfather came here in the 70s, the father of my mom. My mom was 4 years old when she came here, and my father actually, he was the first one in his family who came to Germany when he was like 19. So he didn't have a grandpa. I mean, he had one here, but he didn't bring him here when he was a child, So that's basically my story. And so my story is a little bit different because my mom already was here, so she kind of knows the system a little bit, and she knows what it's like to be separated, one world and the other one, and try to balance it out. But my father, he's adjusting very well.
Can your dad speak German?
Yes, of course.
Okay. But your mom was born here?
Yeah, when she came here when she was 4 years old,
Okay. But she's also adapted to the system.
Obviously. She went to school, did her work experience, everything.
And what differences do you see in your family and here in the German system, in this German culture and German society, community?
There is actually something that I heard in an interview. A guy said the struggles that we have, or with we, I mean people like you and me who study here, is that you have rules that are within your household, within your culture, within your religion, and they're inherited, and you also they make you to the person you are. But the rules not always are the same like the ones that are outside, and that's just a struggle. And what I always say is it's hard for us to adjusting because sometimes things that you do here are normal, and then you go home and then it's not normal, and then you're like, okay, what's right and what's wrong, and it's just juggling everything is just very, very hard, I guess, sometimes. But the main difference is just the people, the culture. There are so many differences.
Mentality, the mindset, even. Yeah, definitely, I agree with you. Like, I also had problems growing up in a German village, but with Turkish people, because my grandma, my grandpa, we all used to live in the same house, like all together, the whole Turkish family, and we were the only Turkish people in my village. So it was very difficult, to speak Turkish at home, but then to switch to German as a child at school with German people, because you don't really know the differences as a child, and exactly the rules, like you follow different rules at home, and then you go to school, and then your teacher says, Ruki, you're not allowed to do this, but in Turkish households it's completely normal, and for me that was a big struggle too. I think for me the most difficult thing was the language, because I couldn't speak German properly for so many years until I was 14, 15, until I was a teenager. And then I got bullied so much. And at the end, I was crying so bad. And I said, no, I'm going to change this now. I'm going to read books every day. And ever since that time, I'm reading so many books. And I improved my German and also my English. So, yeah.
With me, it was actually quite different because I went to Turkey, when I was like 1 year old. Like my mom sent me with a relative, and then they came afterwards. So I spent like 6 months in Turkey with my grandma. And as you know, may or may not know, children either learn to speak first and then walk, or walk and then speak. And with me, it was speaking. And when you learn this in Turkey with your grandma there, so you can adapt to it very fast. And my Turkish was very, very good at first when I was a child, but then my German was bad. And then the teacher called my mom in, and I remember this like from the sayings from my mom. The teacher started speaking slowly because my mom wears a headscarf, and she assumed that my mom didn't know any German. My mom was like she just said it in German, like, I know German, I understand it, I grew up.
So she was wearing a hijab?
Yeah, a headscarf. Okay. My mom wears a headscarf, yeah.
Okay, my mom too.
Yeah, and so my mom also always had to prove herself and be like, I know this language, like, you don't have to speak slowly to me. And then we decided to speak German with my mom and Turkish with my dad. The problem is, everybody knows in a Turkish household, the father's there. The Baba exists, but he doesn't exist. It's like Voldemort. You don't say his name unless there's something real happening. Yeah. So I saw my father like 1 or 2 hours a day, which meant I just spoke German, and then my German improved, but my Turkish decreased so bad. And I didn't speak Turkish until I was 14 because there was this one time where they laughed at me, and I really took it personally as a child. And then my Turkish was so bad until I was like, you know what, those are your roots, and you have to know this. It's not everything, but it's a part of you, so you just better learn it. So with me, it was the difference.
And how did you learn Turkish?
I started watching Turkish series, which is not as perfect, but it's good. And then I started reading, but reading is still tough to me. To be honest with you, I read an English book like within a day or two, German also, but Turkish, it takes me like a week or two or even a month.
For me, it's easy to read Turkish actually, but
Really?
I speak better German than Turkish.
I speak better Turkish than...
Oh my God.
But English is like my top, I'd say. Yeah. I think it is like that. And then comes... German and then Turkish.
Yeah, I mean, we're growing up trilingual, right?
Yeah,
like
actually.
English, German, and Turkish. Like, this is a whole different level, I'm going to tell you. And then you learn at the Matura, the gymnasium, you learn also either French or Spanish.
Yeah, Spanish.
So you end up knowing 4 languages, and you don't even have a possibility to choose. You have to learn these languages, and you have to speak these languages because they're expecting it from you. But I definitely agree with you with that point that you always have to prove yourself, even when you're born here, like for us, even us, we were born here and we were raised here, but German people still tell us, oh my God, your German is so good, or oh my God, you're so immigrated, to this culture and whatever, or into this society. But actually, what kind of what kind of comment is that? Because we were born here and we are a part of this, but they don't see us as a part of this. And we are constantly in the state of proving ourselves everywhere, at schools, here at university, for me, because some profs, they are very, they're very not discriminating, but also kind of racist, it's
like a gray zone. It is racism, but you can't say it out.
You can't say it, so it's very difficult to find a name for it. But just very racist and also discriminating. So kind of both, but also respecting you kind of, because of the personality and because of the time we're living in right now, because we're in 2025. So obviously they have to respect us and welcome us, even though we look different. But it's just something that I will never understand, because you're constantly in a state of proving yourself. And another question is that what are your responsibilities at home and here at the university? Like, how are you managing these responsibilities?
See, the thing with me is I'm kind of like, I have an older sister, but it's just she's married, so she kind of has her own life. which means that I'm the oldest sister now, like the oldest daughter. And it's a lot. I have 2 siblings, which means I'm a part-time mom of 2. Sometimes I feel like a single mom, even though I didn't even ask for it. But then because you have to show your siblings everything, and your parents always my parents come to me first because they're like, you already know the job, you already know the drill, like just do it. And I'm like, okay, I know it, but I know it because you taught me. You have to teach them. And I also give my parents, they're not the same. When I was like born, my mom was like in her 30s, but now she's like at the end of her 40s, which is still not that old, but she can't do this anymore. But on the other hand, I'm like, bro, it's your job, man, you gotta do this. And on the other hand, I feel honored because every time when there's a problem, my siblings come to me because they know that I get them, because I have like full-on hands-on experience what it is, to go to school and then apply for colleges or I don't know, to get some work experience. Like they always come to me first, which is always good. Or when it comes to rules, I was the one who kind of broke some barriers, and I always have to talk to my father. My sister's always like, Alena, blah, I don't want to talk to Baba. Can you please talk to him? Like, he knows you, he likes you. Da, da, da. And I'm like, okay, I'm just going to talk. So it's like hard, sometimes doing this and that because you have so many responsibilities in the household, helping your mom, your siblings, your children, which are not yours, but they are somehow. And then you have to find your own life within this, in this university, and juggle everything. And then, it gets hard, man.
Yeah, it's a burden. It's a big responsibility. And how was the relationship with your parents?
The relationship with my parents is actually very good. As I said before, my mom is actually very like free spirit. Even though she wears a headscarf, she's like very crazy.
Never judge a book by its cover.
Exactly. I think that's the only reason. No, I don't want to say that's the reason why she wears a headscarf, because she likes prove people wrong. But on the other hand, she has this. My father is a little conservative, but not that much. I mean, if he had been that conservative, I wouldn't be here. So it's a very good one. But I always want to make them proud, which is also the reason why I'm here where I am. I want to do this because they never went to university or did anything quite like this. So I want to prove them right, and I want to show them that I can do this and make them proud. And with that, there comes an image that you have to prove yourself. But sometimes when I talk to my father, my father's like, Alena, we're proud of you anyways. And hearing this is just so nice.
For me, actually, I don't really care if they're proud or not. I mean, for me, I don't really care about anything anymore, really seriously, because, you go through so many things, you go through so many struggles, and at the end, you don't really care about others' opinion anymore, especially my parents. Like, I really don't care. I mean, they're supporting me, but if there is something that they don't like, then I will do it anyway, because I completely changed my point of view, and I don't have to prove anything to anyone anymore. Not to Germans, not to my parents, not to anyone, just to myself, because it's always me versus me, and I'm the only one who has to approve it or not. Sometimes I don't really like the way they think, and I don't agree with their opinion and with what they do or what they say. So I have my own life and I have my own responsibility, and I am building my own life here. So I really don't care about their opinion, and I don't want to prove anything, and I don't care if they're proud or not, even though they are proud anyways,
See, I guess what I'm trying to say is I want to make them proud, but not everything. Obviously, there are things that I don't think that are aligned with my morals or standards or principles. And the thing is that I always had like a safe space to talk about this. I sometimes even joke with my father about Turkish politics. I'm like, oh my gosh, he's so bad. And my father just looks at me. But even joking, making a joke, even that he, like the point... the fact that he gives me the space to make jokes and talk to him about that, I think that's good. And with making him proud, I still want to make him proud anyways, but I know that he's, as you said before, he's proud anyways, no matter what I do, because he trusts in me. I mean, your parents can show you what's right and wrong until you've reached a certain age. But then you have to find your own right and your own wrong, and you have to talk to them and explain it. And you can do this, but if they don't, align with your right and wrong, just do your way. But if you feel like you're doing wrong and it harms you, then you have to be able to step back and be like, okay, you know what, that wasn't right. Maybe you guys were right. But on the other hand, your parents also have to do the same thing.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. It was also a big thing with me. Like when I was growing up, they were never agreeing with my decisions. You know, I wanted to decide for myself, and there were always problems. You know, always discussions and just huge problems. And at the end, they had to accept. You know, they had, because you know, as you said, you reach a certain age, and then you have your own point of view. You have your own opinion. You have your own right and wrong. And at the end, they have to understand, but I also understand their point of view, because they come from a whole different family. They come up from a whole different structure, you know, because their parents, they always decided for them. They never had their own voice. They never had their own opinion, and they could never decide for themselves. So I understand, because they come from a whole different mindset, you know, from a whole different mentality and infrastructure, you know, the whole family was just different. But now the time is changing, and I'm very happy and grateful for the fact that my parents still show understanding, and they show like agreement at some point, and they are like, okay, do whatever you want. But I think it's definitely difficult for many Turkish people or people who have an immigrant background, because their parents, they are still living like 100 years ago, you know, and they
back
have this,
then in the village with the cows and stuff like that.
Yeah, exactly.
Which is not bad.
But it's a whole different mindset. That's it. And it's very difficult to discuss something with a person who has a whole different mentality, you know. And another question is that were you getting bullied when you were a child?
See, that's the thing. When I was in elementary school, I think I got bullied. I can't really quite put my finger down and say like, yeah, I got bullied. I mean, there was some teasing every now and then, but that's the thing. You never know where do you draw the line between bullying and teasing. I mean, I got teased every day for like 2-3 years in elementary school, and I didn't really have that many friends.
But because you were Turkish, or?
Also because of that, because my grades were bad, because because of everything, I guess, basically, because I was fat. Yeah, it's just, it is what it is.
Okay, because for me it was just because I was Turkish, I was getting bullied. Just because I look different. But you know, you live in a big city, so for you it's different because there are also Turkish people.
Yeah,
but for me it
definitely.
was different because I was the only Turkish person.
I was the only Turkish person in my class at a certain at a certain degree. Yeah.
But you don't really look Turkish.
Okay. What does that
Does
mean?
she look Turkish? I don't think she looks Turkish.
I don't know. Do I not look like Turkish delight?
You look... I think you look more like Spanish. Or like...
I take that.
Yeah, or from the north, you know?
Okay, I don't
From cold countries, because you're very bright.
You mean pale? Yeah. You mean pale? That's because of my mom. My mom is from I don't know where it's from. You know, the Black Sea. You know, the people there are from Turkey, but there is also some Greece in there, and I think that's why my mom.
Yeah, you look Greek too.
Thank you.
Oh my God!
Dikanis.
Yesterday I met a Greek guy, and he was looking so Turkish. You can't imagine. I thought he's Turkish, but then his name was totally different. He was Greek, obviously.
Yorgo.
No. I'm not gonna tell you his name, but his name was very Greek. But he was looking so Turkish, and it's crazy. Yeah. Where are you from, by the way? From Turkey?
Okay. So that's a little difficult. My father's originally from Yozgat, which is right next to Kayseri, but he was born and raised in Ankara, the capital. So we're always there. And my mom is originally from Gümüşhane, which is right next to Trabzon. But yeah, she was born in Istanbul, I guess, and then came to Germany when she was 4.
Yeah, nice. I'm 100% from Yozgat, by the way. I also wanted to ask you if you're the first person in your family who is studying.
What do you mean in your family? You mean mom, dad, siblings?
Yeah, or like cousins. Because for me, I am the only person and the first person in my family who is studying at a university or studying at all. You know?
Okay, girl. No, I can't say the same thing for me because I had a cousin who started here before me, and then he switched, but he still got the degree. And my other cousins who are younger than me, they're also at university, so we're kind of like line. But in my household, yeah, in my house, I'm the only one.
Okay. Yeah, because, you know...
But I'm the only female, bro. What?
That's totally different.
That's different, man. Yeah.
Yeah, because you know what? For me, to be honest, my grandpa died back in 2009. But if he would be still alive, I would not be standing here right now. I mean, I would definitely have the chance to study, but I would never had the chance to go abroad and, you know, do an internship abroad or like travel alone on my own as a female. Because for many Turkish people or many Turkish women or young women, girls, it's difficult to go abroad or go anywhere without their brothers or without their dads or family members, because my dad is very strict in that. You know, he used to say, you are not allowed to go anywhere without your brothers, but then I broke that barrier, and now so I'm free to do whatever I want. But you know, if my grandpa would be alive, he would have more authority, and he would also have more weight on me, you know. So he would decide for me, because, you know, girls are not really you know, it's not very nice to see for the girls to go somewhere alone, because you don't really know what they're going to do. Because also some girls are using the trust of their family, and so they're like, okay, I'm not gonna do this, but then at the end, you know, they're doing it behind their backs, and they're doing everything, and they're breaking all the trust, and you know, this is also something very toxic. So also I wanted to ask you, is your family toxic?
I wouldn't quite say toxic. I mean, there are some people here and there, but they're not. As I said before, you said trust, and that's a very important thing. I want to kind of adjust something to that, you know. It's my father and my mom, they know me as a person, and I'm 24, 25 years old. I think they're like, okay, she's a grown up. Like, I cannot control her now. And from my past experiences, they saw that I never really pushed the boundaries too much. I just pushed them as much as I needed them to get pushed. And I never kind of used their trust to do something that they didn't approve of. And that's why they trust me so much now with almost everything. And that's the thing, like, you have to work up to that. And yeah, that's something that I wanted to say that. But I don't have talks. No, as my mom is my go-to supporter, because my mom, her dad, like my grandpa, he always wanted to have a daughter. He had 4 sons first, and then my mom. And you would think that my mom would get oppressed. Nah. She was the princess. So my grandpa would also, if he's also that, he died in like 2014, 15. He would have been very proud. Yeah, definitely.
That's nice.
And my other grandpa also very supportive.
I mean, my other grandpa is also supportive, but you know, I should not maybe say this, but I'm also kind of glad that my grandpa died, as I mean the dad of my dad, that he died back then when I was young, because as I said, if he was alive, then I could not live my dreams, you know.
But do you really think that it has to be something, you know, that it's linked to being Turkish, or it's like conservative in general, you know?
Conservative in general.
Yeah, that's
but you know, many Turkish people are like that.
Yeah,
and they are very toxic.
Those are the things.
That's a fact.
Yeah, I know. I'm not totally disagreeing with you, but I also think like that we have to take care of what we say and which way, because I mean, I get you. Yeah, I know what you mean, but someone else would be like, oh my gosh.
Yeah, I know.
Oh my gosh. Like when you get married, is this your cousin? Did you have to do this? Like, bro, no.
I mean, yeah, I understand. I mean, you know, the times also changed. The time changed, and so we are totally now living in a different time. So it's more chill, and the children of the immigrants, they are more, you know, they're free and they can decide for themselves more and more. But there are still people out there who have that mindset, that old village mindset, and who would like to decide for you, and you have no free will. So I would say that there are still many toxic Turkish people. You know, I mean, my parents, they were also toxic, and like there are also some kind of toxic
micromanaging things. It's like this micromanaging. Yeah. It's small things, but when you add them up, it's like something big, you know.
Yeah, you know, yeah, it's just kind of very muddled up and complicated. But yeah, I hear from my friends, from my Turkish friends, that they're still struggling a lot with their parents, and especially with their grandparents, because they still have a big influence on them, you know. Because of the parents. Sometimes my grandma even talks to my dad and says, Ruki should not go outside after 11 p.m. or something, you know. And then my dad is being influenced by this, and then he comes home and then he says, Ruki, where are you now, you know, even though I'm not doing something bad. I mean, everyone knows where I am and what I'm doing, but it's just the influence they have on you, and indirectly, you know, because my grandma, she comes from a whole different world, you know, she comes from a whole different level, you know. She used to live, she got married with 16 years old, or 15, 16 years old in that village back then, and then she had to live alone because my grandpa was here in Germany, working and sending the money to Turkey, where she had to divide the money and had to, you know, share the money with the parents of my grandpa. And she had children, and she was completely on her own, living in that village on her own, alone, and doing everything alone. And so it was also very dangerous for her, you know. It was totally a different time, and, you know, children were dying because of the hunger and because of having no money, and it was a whole different level, you know, of surviving. But you know, still having that mentality affects you. And, you know, she's watching the news, the Turkish news, and if you're Turkish, you know the news are horrible. You should never watch the news. And, you know, now she's like 80 and she's watching the news, what's happening in Turkey, and I must admit that Turkey is crazy. There's so many different things are going on, like crazy things are going on, and dangerous. I mean, okay, it's not dangerous everywhere, and I don't want to talk bad about my country. I mean, I would still go alone.
I think that there's badness everywhere, but some countries show everything and others show less.
And the news, they're crazy. They're showing everything. And, you know, my grandma's watching this, and then she's like, Ruki, don't go out, don't go to school. This or that is going to happen, you know? And I'm thinking, oh my God, you know, I can't do this.
But it's like, you know, you know the sentence, hurt people?
Yeah.
If you go back to it, you know, if you see something, that's with me and my mom. Sometimes there are things that I don't really think, you know, things that she does that I don't really think are good. But then I ask her why, and then I go deeper to that and deeper, and then I see that it's someone who did something to her mother, who thought it was normal and then did this. So what I'm trying to say is, your grandma kind of, you have to, but now I'm switching to Turkish. You have to look at it in this way. Your grandma lived in a small village. Then she came to Germany, right? So your father was here, and then he did work, something like that, yeah. And now you are here, so it's always expanding. First they left the village, then they start here, they start a new life here, and then they start working in good jobs, and now it's you going to university. So if you look at it, like from the beginning till now, you see that it has changed, and every generation has kind of pushed the limits and the boundaries, and just
true. And we are pushing the boundaries now, and we are crossing the boundaries to just to evolve, you know, just to develop ourselves, and to, you know, have a bigger perspective, and to change our point of views, because that's very important, to develop and to evolve and to always get better, you know. I mean, that's the purpose of us, I mean, of us humans. And would you say that you found your purpose?
I'm actually at the point where I'm questioning a lot of things, because I had a plan and I thought that life was so linear. It was like, I thought I'm gonna finish school, then I'm gonna go to university, and then I'm gonna start this. But now I've just realized that it's nothing like the plan that I had planned, you know. It's changed so much, and that's something that I had to kind of learn to live with. It's okay to be uncomfortable and to kind of find new things. I mean, that's what life's all about. It's not linear, it's all ups and downs. And
totally.
So long story short, I found some purpose, you know, in sports, for example, or self-development here and there, but I wouldn't say that I found my purpose now, you know.
And would you go back to Turkey to live in Turkey for the rest of your life?
Yeah, I mean, I don't really think so. Because I love my people and I love the country, but I don't think it's not that stable when it comes to, I mean, you're easier here, you know, you can go out, you can travel, you can do this and that and everything, but in Turkey, everything is a little bit harder because, difficult, definitely. But on the other hand, I mean, somebody has to go there and kind of push the boundaries there so that Turkey will someday be as good as other countries, you know, in some areas. You know, somebody has to do the work.
Yeah, I would also support Turkey a lot, and I would like to live there. but I can't imagine raising my children there, because I mean there are of course some good places, but also the rest of Turkey is very not well developed, I would say. It's very difficult, and also the infrastructure. But it's you can have a good living. You can make a good living there, because the quality of the food and the water and the air is very nice, especially in the south, in some villages. I know, because we always go there, and it's very nice. Like when you have good money, when you earn, the best way is to earn in euro or in dollar, and then to live in a cheap country, just like Turkey or Spain.
I would actually have a beach house in Turkey. That's what I would do.
I would also, me too. I would like to buy a beach house in Turkey, because it's so beautiful. The beaches there are super pretty, really. Yeah, but actually my parents, they want to go back to Turkey at some point.
My parents also want to go there.
Yeah.
I mean, they have to. I have to have a house there. I don't want to buy one there. I want to go to their house, And then,
Nice. Yeah, so that's it from today's episode. Thank you so much for listening, and thank you so much for being here.
Thank you.
Is there anything that you would like to tell others out there?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's just, as I said before, life isn't linear. That's something that I really experienced the past weeks, just ups and downs, and you just got to go with it. Like, you have to find a way to find focus in unfocusedness, to find structure in unstructure, and to find balance in balance. You have to find this. Life keeps going. Like, just keep on going. Try to focus on the first 2 steps, not the first 5, because you never know, you'll burn out. Just focus on the first 2 steps ahead of you, and then just develop and keep on moving from there. And then
well said, yeah. And I would say, never listen to others. Just do whatever you like to do, okay? I mean, you don't have to prove yourself to anyone, but just to yourself. Yeah. Do you agree?
Yes.
But I don't care if you agree, because I'm not looking for improvement.
Okay.
Okay, so take care of yourselves. And again, thank you so much for listening. I'm sending you love and gratitude.